Updated, wife cheated after I broke 2 bones, said that she wasn't sorry, so I made sure she was. Original post, hey guys, I, 40 male, have been married to my wife, Christine, 39 female, for about 10 years now, and we have 1 child, my lovely daughter, who is 9 years old. Like any marriage, we've had our ups and downs, a lot of downs to be honest, but we came through everything fine. There's been no infidelity, but there has been a basis for trust issues on both of our parts. I will admit, however, in the last 2 years or so, I've done my best as a husband, and I think I've maintained a good record. My wife and I have a good life in the bedroom. We're getting older, but things haven't dropped off too significantly from back when we met. I've always been very thankful for that much because I've been involved with women who might as well have been celibate, and it was frustrating to say the least because no amount of communication fixed anything. So a woman who actually wants to roll around in bed is a blessing to me. I owned a business before I met my wife, and when we got married, she eventually joined me at the helm to run things. About 2 weeks ago, I got into an accident on my way to work. I got T-boned at a red light and woke up in the hospital with a broken femur and a humerus. Yeah, needless to say, that wasn't fun. Once it was certain there wasn't any internal damage, I was home in bed for 2 days with a cast on my arm and my leg. Obviously, my movement has been impaired quite a bit, but I was able to find my way around the house with a lot of stumbling and leaning on things. Of course, there were certain things I was unable to do, and Christine had to help me with them. For about the first week, she seemed to be fine with it, and every time that I asked her if it wasn't too much of a burden, she'd say no with a big smile. However, once I crossed over into the second week, I started to notice a bit of a change in her attitude. To be honest, when I said her life in the bedroom is good, it's really good, and we usually don't go a full week without anything going on. So my first assumption was that it might have been because of that, especially because I was starting to feel my body craving it too. Again, when I asked her if I was being a burden, she said no, but this time she seemed more short with me. I asked her straight up whether it was because of the lack of action between us, but she said it wasn't and left the room promptly after that. At that moment, I really felt it was, but I felt like being married as long as we were, she'd be able to answer me truthfully with a question like that. My mouth and one of my hands still work, so I feel like we'd be able to work things out. I mean, I had the urge to ask her to help me blow a load, but she's already doing a lot for me, so I decided not to bother. At least until I can't take it anymore. Now here's the thing. Yesterday, she came back home after managing the business on my behalf that day, and she was very clearly in a much better mood than she was all the other days. Like, I could describe her mood as bubbly. Now, I don't know if I'm being paranoid, but since I feel like her mood before was because we couldn't be intimate, I'm suddenly overthinking whether she was able to get somebody else to take care of that side of things for her. I mean, she's never cheated on me. Does anyone ever know for sure? And apart from that sudden change in her mood, I wouldn't have had anything else to use to suspect her. But she could have had a massage or heard some good news, but talking to her, there didn't seem to be any obvious reason for her sudden happiness. So before I do anything rash, not like I can with the way that I am right now, I want to hear all of your opinions. Should I try and do some digging, or should I just assume that she was just happy for some other reason? I mean, I feel like I might be jumping to conclusions after such a long time knowing each other, but let me know what y'all think, please. Gotta trust your gut instincts on that, I guess, is what it boils down to. If you feel that she might be cheating, you need to do some digging and find out for sure. Now for the updates. Update 1. Hey everyone, it's been about 3 weeks since my last post, but I'm back with an update. A lot of you said that I should go ahead and check her phone. Partners should be allowed to check each other's phones if they have nothing to hide. I know she can check mine as much as she wants because I've never had anything to hide as well. Well, I eventually did check, and boy did I find things. Anyway, I wasn't able to ask her to hand it over because that would give her the chance to delete any evidence. I had to gain access to it at a time when I would have had enough time to search through everything and potentially save any proof that I found. Just so that you know, after that day when she was all happy, she slowly went back into a mood, and then just another day was all bubbly again. It was the third time that she came back all happy that I got my chance. She was chewing gum, but I was sure that I could smell a slight sense of booze following her. She also didn't kiss me as she got back home, but she was happy. I think it might have been whatever she drank. But it didn't take too long for her to fall asleep, and she left her phone right beside her bed. I never checked Catherine's phone before, but I was very anxious, as I did it because I was scared that she would wake up at any moment, and I'd have to start trying to explain myself. But the anxiety from not knowing whether she was cheating on me was honestly a lot worse, so I pushed through. There were no photos or videos of her with anyone unusual, but it was when I went through her messaging app that I found an unread message from an Alex, and squinting at the profile picture, I saw it was the same Alex I knew that worked for me. The thing is, this normally wouldn't have been an issue since she was manning the workspace at the moment, but the message was gotten home with a kiss emoji at the end. I opened the message immediately despite the last one being unread, and I went through everything up until the point where I had the accident. Things were very formal until about a day before that day that my wife had come home all bubbly the first time. He had started flirting with her heavily and she returned the energy. He must have gotten some kind of green light at work that day to come on strong, and so it just made it clear how little I knew while I was at home recovering. I noticed that on 3 occasions that my wife had come back in a brighter mood. Alex always asked her if she had gotten home, but he never did that on the other days. Between those days, there were some flirting here and there, but nothing extreme, though it might as well have been. I took several pictures with my phone and put her phone back. This was about 2 days ago, and I really don't know what to do. She didn't seem any different the next day, so I don't think she suspected that I touched her phone, probably because she was tipsy. But I really don't know what to do. I have all the evidence I need to come to a very solid conclusion that my wife has cheated on me with my employee at least 3 times. But how do I proceed from here in a way that actually makes sense? Do I just say divorce and figure everything out from here? The thing is, I feel so hurt. We haven't had a super rosy marriage, but for the most part, it was good. Cheating never seemed to be a fear of mine, but after I had an accident, that's when she decides to cheat on me. I've struggled to act normal around here, but I really don't know if I can take it any longer. I need this to end, but I can't just end with a divorce. I need more than that. I need to feel satisfied. Please, I've been trying to think of things that I can do, but my mind is failing to put 2 thoughts together. I'll be waiting to hear what advice y'all may have for me. I'd say get some more evidence. Update 2. Wow, time flies. It's been a long time since my last update, but after posting it, I think I must have read through every single comment here. Thank you to everyone for all the kind words and suggestions, and I have to say they certainly contributed to my approach. The first thing that I did was find a divorce lawyer. I didn't pay a retainer at the time, but just wanted to know what I could do with his services. At that point, I stupidly still felt like there could be an explanation for what I had read on her phone, so I decided to confront her before making anything final. It was a bit easier for me to move around on my own, so I told her that I wanted to follow her to work to see how things were going and say hi to the employees. She tried to weakly convince me to stay at home and that she had everything under control, but at that point I knew nothing was going to stop me from going on. So about an hour later, I was in the passenger seat and we were heading to our business location. Most of the guys were super happy to see me, Alex included, though he seemed a lot more awkward than the rest of them. My wife also didn't seem to be super happy that I was there. Towards the end of the workday, I called for Alex to come into my office, and I did that when my wife was somewhere close by. I noticed her freeze up as I did that, and she actually followed Alex into my office, which she normally wouldn't do if it was anyone else, but I didn't tell her to leave. Both of them seemed shifty, though I might have been imagining it. I only asked Alex something about a client we had been dealing with before the accident happened, and I could actually see the fear disappear from his body as he realized I was just asking about something relatively trivial. Once the day ended, I headed back home with my wife, and she was slightly talkative, maybe because she realized that least assumed that she hadn't been found out. I felt like I had more than enough suspicion at that point to be very direct with her, and I decided that I would do it the next day when she returned from work. Perhaps fortunately for me, the next day was another one of those days where her mood seemed to be better than usual, which triggered me because it made me assume that she had just been intimate with my employee just minutes before. She was probably made bolder because she felt that she had confirmation that I didn't suspect it one bit. But that was just part of what gave me the courage to confront her. Minutes after she walked in, I asked her to sit across from me and I asked her straight up, "Are you cheating on me with Alex?" She froze, but it wasn't for long and then she said yes. Right after that, she stood up and headed towards the kitchen. I told her to sit back down and that I wasn't done, but she still went to the fridge to get a silly yogurt cup. Only then did she come back. Honestly, I could already tell that she didn't seem to be remorseful based on her behavior. Why? Why did you think that was a good idea? And then she went into explaining how she has needs as a woman, and I wasn't providing those needs for her. I pointed out right there that I had been in a freaking accident. I still had casts on, and her major concern was that there was no sex. I told her that if she had told me how dire her needs were, we could have found a way to sort things out at least until I was healed. But she only shook her head and said it wouldn't have been the same. Honestly, in that moment, I was actually lost for words. I was expecting crying and pleading and obvious guilt, but the stupid woman in front of me was trying to justify her cheating. I asked her directly whether she was sorry, and she told me no. She repeated again that she had needs and I couldn't provide them, and that wasn't her fault. That she wouldn't deny herself pleasure because I had gotten T-boned by an SUV. Divorce her immediately and don't look back, is what I would do. Yeah, I hate to admit it, but I lost all cool that I'd had at that moment. I struggled to get to my feet and walked over to her in an intimidating way. I didn't raise a fist or anything, but as I approached her, she stood up and shoved me hard. I lost balance and hit our wooden coffee table on the way down. I hit my shoulder. Nothing was broken. I confirmed eventually, and I lay on the floor in pain. A few minutes later, I heard the front door close and her car start up and drive away. Yeah, my wife, soon to be ex, knocked me over and didn't even check to see if I was okay. I literally had 2 casts on. It was a few minutes before I could struggle up onto the couch and my shoulder was in a lot of pain. The first thing that I did was call the police because I actually lost all respect and love for her in that moment. I was seeing red. Apparently, the noise of our argument had woken up my daughter and she was hiding near the top of the stairs. When she saw me get pushed, she started crying when she saw me in pain, and it broke my heart. She kept asking what had happened between me and her mom, but I really didn't know what to tell her. Eventually, the police came, took a report from me, and I was taken to the hospital along with my daughter for an x-ray. Fortunately, there was no lasting damage to my shoulder. I mean, considering I was on the way to recovery, I'd have been pissed off if it broke something else. As soon as I got back home that night, I put my daughter to bed and sent a message. Divorce lawyer telling him that I was ready to go ahead with things. Christine hasn't come back home in the 3 days since that happened, and I haven't even contacted her. My daughter keeps asking where her mom is, but I had to make up a stupid excuse that she went to visit her sister. At this point, it's actually war, and I think I have everything I need to have things collapse for Christine. She wasn't sorry for cheating on me, but my goal is to make her sorry. Update 3. As I'm writing this, which should be my final update of my story, I'm doing so with a big smile on my face. I know it has been months since my last update, but if you're big fans of the sensation we call Schadenfreude, you're going to like this one. I know I do. The first thing that I did was send text messages to every single one of Christine's relatives that I knew, from her parents to a cousin that I had only met twice. I even sent it to the friends whose numbers I had because I was pissed. I didn't write a single thing that wasn't true, and I even sent them the pictures that I had taken of the flirting between her and Alex back then. Some of them responded and some of them didn't. The ones who responded were more sympathetic, and I assume most of those who didn't were on Christine's side. My job there was done. Whether they took her side or not, I made sure her sleazy behavior was well documented. After that, I went into work and I met Christine there. She was shocked to see me, probably thinking I was too crushed to do anything. It was barely 10 seconds before I pointed to her and Alex, the employee she had been cheating on me with, and told them they were both fired. She used to be my wife, but she was merely an employee. Her name was nowhere in the paperwork from the business, and I'm glad that I'd never brought her in to that extent. Alex was surprised by the suddenness of it all, but he couldn't argue because he knew he was guilty. He had worked for me for 3 years, and he was surely going to have a fun time trying to use me as a reference for whatever his next job was going to be. Meanwhile, Christine looked furious. She walked up to me. Honestly, I was scared I was going to get hit again, though that would have been worked nicely for me. When she was at arm's length, I sprung the divorce papers on her. Her face turned red because her employees were there, but I didn't care. She snatched the papers from me and marched out of the place. The rest of the day was awkward, and I had to deal with a lot of cursing and texts from her later once she realized the full extent of people that I had told about her cheating. Again, my story doesn't end there, but it still gets good. Remember the assault? I had a police report and a hospital report, and I went to the police station at the close of business to report things. I told them that I wanted to press charges. To skip through things a bit, my divorce lawyer was able to help me structure the case beautifully. As a complete bonus, and considering this came after I confronted her for cheating, she was unremorseful. I was injured, she left me there, and my daughter witnessed it. She got a week in jail and mandatory anger management classes. I hate that my little girl had to get a bit involved, but for me it was worth it. The criminal record gladdened my heart. Then we got to the actual divorce proceedings. These lasted a long time, especially because Christine was being extremely stubborn throughout the thing, but ultimately was a breeze because there was way too much documented proof of bad behavior on my ex-wife's part. I mean, she had assaulted me, which she didn't deny. She had cheated on me, which she didn't deny. And she was very clearly unremorseful about either one of them. My daughter had to see her father assaulted, and again, that killed me. Now, I did mess up by firing her before I finalized the divorce, so I do have to pay a manageable amount of alimony, but only for 5 years. She's not a part of the business I built from the ground up. I have custody of my daughter because her mother's ability to control her temper and not bring strange men around my daughter is in question. And I get to keep the house because why uproot my little girl? I got to expose my wife's behavior to all of her friends and give her a shiny criminal record. I honestly didn't set out to do all this, but she made it work for me since she's just naturally a horrible person. I wish I'd seen it earlier, but it is what it is. I'm glad the story is over and my daughter is safe with me. Life goes on, and I'll try and rebuild eventually, but for now, I'm happy with the way that things went, and I hope all of you are too. Edit. By the way, Alex had the balls to put my name down as a reference, and I made sure to professionally outline all of his shortcomings as an employee, including the fact that he may try to be inappropriate with the female partners of high-ranking employees. It was fun to hear, "Oh, wow, thank you for letting us know that." From the person on the other end, I guess no evil goes unpaid. Story 2. Update. Am I the a-hole for losing my shit on my husband on the day of his family reunion? Original post. I'm a 35-year-old female married to a 38-year-old man. We have been together for 10 years and have 2 children, 9 and 5. My husband works very hard. He has multiple jobs. He works throughout the week. Recently, we had a discussion about taking time off and spending some time together. It is difficult because of things in his past. He accumulated a lot of debt, which is why he works so much. I work 60 plus hours a week and take care of the household and childcare things, while much of his income goes to paying his debts. I keep up with the household. I do the housework and lawn work, repairs, etc., and he contributes where he can. Within this year, he has taken time off for family and coworker events. He has scheduled time to take trips with his friends, and when he does, I am the designated babysitter. Many days after he gets home, he is responsible for his parents. He takes them grocery shopping, fixes things at their household, and does some of their housework. I forgot to mention he is one of 5, and all 4 siblings live close to his parental home. His parents assist in childcare for his siblings, but not for ours. I've told him my frustrations of being consistently placed on the back burner. The other day I lost it. I found out he invited his family to our house for a family reunion last week. I thought he took time off work and he didn't. The house was a mess, and most of the mess is his. I was expected to clean the house, get the groceries, run the kids to their weekend events, start cooking, and get the reunion set up as he set the time for 4 p.m., the time he gets out of work. The kids are helpful in doing their chores and cleaning their rooms. I got the house clean by the time his family started pouring in. I was stewing as he was at work. He asked me why there weren't any clean towels as he was going to take a shower, and I freaked out in front of his whole family. I ran down the list of how I'm always on the back burner for these people, how I am the one and I'm the one contributing to the household while he works just to pay off his debts, how I have no security or support in this relationship, and that he is like having another child, and that all I feel like I'm worth is an occasional F whenever he is in the mood. I let it all out. I ended with, I'm done. I packed a bag and I took off. I'm sitting in a parking lot hysterical, and no, the kids weren't present, they were outside playing. He is a good father to the kids, but as a husband, I feel like I'm better off by myself. I have so much resentment towards him, and no, he hasn't called or texted me loud and clear, which made me even more angry because this is exactly how he deals with everything. I'm now feeling like an a-hole for going off and saying all I did, especially in front of his family. Am I the a-hole? Now for the updates. Update 1. Wow, oh wow. Thank you all for the advice, the kind words, and some kick-in-the-pants type of support. I came here to see if I was the a-hole and was body slammed with a lot of harsh truths. I'm not going to lie, much of it was cathartic to hear, but I'm not the a-hole, and it hurts to hear that I'm being taken advantage of. So here's where I'm at. After the loud and clear text, I was bombarded with phone calls and texts from his family. I sent a message to my husband to give me some space and if he had any care for me and this relationship to call off his dogs. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb with the exception of my children's iPad. I had called my mother, sent her some money, and she picked them up for a special grandma date sleepover. Once they were there, I FaceTimed them and told them that I was working. I'm not working. I had a secret rainy day fund and splurged on a nice hotel and spa day, had a few drinks, cried my eyes out some more, and just spent the day unplugged and journaled all my feelings. I haven't had time to do any of that in a very long time. After that, I mustered up the courage to open Reddit and read my fate, and wow, was I surprised. I was fully expecting a ton of "you are the a-hole" comments. To clear up some things, I shamefully do not know the links of his debt. Much of it is from his parents putting bills in his name. Others is just mismanagement of money, credit cards, etc. I took over the finances after I found a letter in the mail saying that we were going to lose the house. I was contributing to the household bills at the time and he was doing the finances. I trusted that things were well. This was after marriage and after kids. We went to counseling because of it and he said that he was ashamed and afraid to tell me the truth. I took over about 3 years ago and I told him to focus on clearing his debt and I'd hold the household down while he did. I did not expect it to take this long, and with inflation, everything has just become more expensive, and that much more difficult for me. I was supposed to go back to school, and that was to put on hold so I could catch up on what we were behind on, hence the working 60-plus hours. I'm a nurse, and I work 12-hour shifts and capitalize on overtime where I can. I agree with the comment saying, I'm burned out. I realized this today. I realized at work or at home, I'm constantly in critical thinking caregiver mode. My job is to care and problem solve for everyone but myself. To clear up the comment of his family doesn't watch our kids is because they did so one time and threw it in our faces and I said never again. I see how they use him. I have said something before and he returns with, one day they won't be here and I'll wish I could have done more. I told him that's fine, but you have siblings that are equally responsible. Some that don't have spouses or kids that can contribute. As far as the house and the way things go, he does really help when he can. Don't jump on me, I just want to be truthful. I think it came across that he comes home and does nothing. He just works up to 16 hours, 7 days a week, so a lot of times it's me doing the majority of it. As far as the trips go, yeah, that's a sore spot. He tells me about them, he takes the day off, it pisses me off. I have to beg for time, and if and when we do get it, we end up in a fight or I have to plan everything or we can't get sitters and sit home and he sleeps all day. And to be honest, I'm so full of resentment that it's almost too little too late. Like when I'm around him, I'm just so pissed off. He says I always have an attitude and that he's trying but nothing is ever good enough. So I just stopped and accepted my fate, hence the blow up. I haven't spoken to him yet besides telling him to call off his family. He has part of the D&D on my phone. I'm enjoying the peace. I'm enjoying being by myself and just being present and aware of my feelings. Knowing my kids are safe and I can truly take some time for myself and my mental health right now is everything. I know tomorrow I have to go back to reality and deal with everything. I promise to update when I can. I'm sorry to leave you all hanging if this isn't the update that you hoped for. I just want to enjoy this escape a little while longer while I can before my world implodes. Thank you all, and please keep the advice coming. I truly am alone on this one and need all the advice and support that I can get. Update 2. Thank you all again for the advice. I woke up this morning with a clear head. I'm still upset and disappointed. I had tons of voicemails from his family. I don't have the energy to listen through all of them. I don't care. Like I said, I'm angry, but I also feel embarrassed. I did call my husband this morning. I could tell by his voice he didn't sleep last night, and he confirmed that he, in fact, did not. He told me that after the blow-up, he asked everyone to leave. He was surprised to see my mother as I sent her to pick up the kids. He said that's when it really became real. We had a long conversation. I did apologize for exploding and doing so when I did and not communicating better. He said he understands why I felt like I couldn't and was actually glad it happened the way that it did. His family finally got to see how much they affected his home. According to him, after I left, he laid into them and told them that he can no longer be the only one to help his family out, and that a lot of the mess he's in is their fault. He said that after the blow-up, he told his siblings they need to step up and help with his parents. His parents were obviously upset with the whole ordeal. I couldn't care less, to be honest. They couldn't believe that they were such a burden because they asked for a little help from time to time. I just rolled my eyes in disgust as he was talking. My new space, along with my feelings of hurt and anger, just let me speak all my truths. I had nothing left to give or lose, so I told him how I felt about everything. He sat in silence for a while, then finally broke down and said he feels like a failure. He's ashamed of the debt and how much he has let us down. He said he was exhausted and has been depressed because he couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel and feels as though he's ruined our future. That he goes out with his friends to feel normal and himself because all he does is work. That he does this because of his black cloud that's been hanging over him. I wasn't my best self in this moment and told him to save me. The self-pity is pathetic. That he got himself into this mess and I'm digging him out. I'm effing depressed too. There's a ton of shit that I want to do that I can't do because I'm financially unable to do so. I went off how over the past 3 years his income has gone solely to debt repayment, yet there's no end in sight because I haven't seen the so-called debt. I've given him my all and as much support as I could gather, but I'm angry. This isn't the life that I pictured or set myself up for either. It's not the life my kids deserve. I've missed out on so much because I'm working or I'm cleaning or I'm just tired. I can't even open my eyes. I told him he has no one to blame but himself. I think my disdain was concerning. He said he will show and prove that he will print out his credit report and list out all the debt he has, along with all of his pay stubs and bank records, and the receipts of what's paid off and whatever else I want as far as his finances are concerned. He promised me my hard work was not in vain and that he is almost debt-free. Come to find out, his parents opened credit cards and bills in his name when he was younger and accrued close to $100,000 of debt in his name, and not including interest. They trashed his credit, and that's why it's taken so long. According to him, he has been fighting with the collection companies to settle, trying to consolidate or get a lower interest, as it was multiple companies and debts. What I didn't know is some were so bad his wages were being garnished. He was in tears and said he didn't know how to tell me, that he didn't even know the extent of what they did. He was basically working all these hours with nothing to take home to us and accruing more debt just to survive. I stayed silent. My blood was boiling. He didn't even realize he just helped me make my decision. He jokingly said my outburst took care of the family's situation, and that is why he texted me loud and clear, meaning he and they got the message. I told him I didn't find it funny. It's a shame that it took an outburst from me for everyone to hear what I've been saying all along, that he's an idiot for not filing charges on his parents and just taking it up the ass and allowing it to ruin my life and the children we created lives for. I told him he's spineless and I feel so stupid. He said he didn't call me because he knew how mad I was and was scared he would say the wrong thing and say things just like that. I thanked him for the honesty in the conversation and told him I was so broken, angry, and hurt right now that I can't even pick up my pieces, let alone his. Right now, I need to clear my head. He said that he's willing to do whatever it takes to turn this around. He even suggested marriage counseling. He told me he used his PTO and took the rest of the week off to work on this. I lost it and sobbed uncontrollably. If it was that easy to take time off, why now and not then? I asked him why didn't I matter before we got here? Why now? I told him he needs the time off to find counseling, both personal and legal, that I won't be coming home. He asked me if I was serious. He begged me to rethink my decision. He said all the things that I've been wanting to hear. He asked me where I was going to go and what about the kids and the house and the bills. That I couldn't tear the kids from the only home that they know. I simply replied, I know this is what needs to be done, and I've already set the ball in motion. He hung up on me. I cried, then went to go get the kids. We are going to have a wonderful week in a somewhat fancy hotel and swim in the pool and order room service and make some memories. I took some of the money that I saved in my rainy day fund and extended my hotel stay to include me and the kids. I have an awful lot to catch up on with them. The look on their faces when I said, no, mommy doesn't have to work tonight was priceless. I also have an appointment with legal consultants tomorrow. Hopefully I can get to talk to a lawyer and figure out what's next. Wish me luck, everyone, and thanks again. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.